Yeah, I recently made a video, and it had to do with the hidden meanings behind what you see with the Beach Boys Smile album. And I made a couple mistakes. I just want to clear them up. One was that well, you could find it in this book. In this case, it's the revised edition, going with the somewhat revised video. When David Anderley talks about the elements, that's when he talks about a good time Brian had in a natural setting, and dealing with a lot of water and stuff. And I said it was a trip, that Anderley was describing a trip. Doesn't explicitly say so, but Brian Wilson had talked about that trip with Al Jardine, and so I think Brian was willing to talk about that trip, and that's what he was doing when he told Anderley about that great time he had. It involved a lot of water. All right. The other thing that I kind of messed up on was I was talking about the two levels in SMiLE, and I think I held this up because that's what I think. There's a hidden level behind what you see in SMiLE, and it was based. I had mentioned this book about a study of LSD participants in the '60s and how they felt that their LSD experiences were not a hallucination or some phony thing, but rather fundamental reality that underlies all reality. And what I did not mean to infer was that in SMiLE, what you get is reality, and then you get the hidden spiritual LSD stuff underneath. That reality is more like something like a created dream by the people that made SMiLE. So what I think you had is, Brian made the music to represent his spiritual experience under the drug use, and then on top of that, Van Dyke Parks used some representative lyrics. Good example of that is in the essay by Frank Holmes, the SMiLE artist. Frank points out that Van Dyke's lyrics were allegorical and metaphorical, or metaphor and allegory, which definitely hints that these were representative of something else, right? And one thing I noticed that I don't know if many people point out is you kind of have a checkerboard pattern in the background behind this checkerboard pattern, which sort of makes it look like two different chessboards, one beyond the other, or almost hidden by the one in the front. And I would say that this is a dream picture, is comparable to a dream, or Van Dyke Parks called it cartoon consciousness or something like that. And you'll find that in Arthur Koestler's book. Let's see if I have the page marked. Oh, yeah. With the two chessboards, and this illustrates Kessler's thing, where one of those would be hidden behind the other one, and he illustrates the moves, the various moves that the chess pieces make to try. Some are north, south, east, west, while other ones are diagonal, to show two different ways of thinking. So that's how Koestler tries to show the two matrices, as he would call them. Anyway, so the idea is that what you're looking at SMiLE is actually something like a manufactured dream. It uses like unconscious ideas. It uses things from memory to represent something else. And one thing Koestler points out is that the way to do this is with very familiar ideas. So in SMiLE, you're not using made up stuff or something too imaginative. As Koestler says, the creative act uncovers, selects, reshuffles, combines, and synthesizes, sorry about that, already existing facts, ideas, faculties, skills. The more familiar the parts, the more striking the new whole. And I think this kind of came back to bite the creators of SMiLE, because they're familiar with the parts, but they're not recognizing that they're arranged in such a way that is meant to resemble something like a dream, or work something like a dream. I think that the modular idea is, that's, you know, similar to what you get in a dream. You have, you know, things can appear, disappear, reappear, you know, that's why you can, Brian could shuffle the music around. That's why lyrically sometimes you'll find Van Dyke's words, or what you thought were original words or phrases of SMiLE, becoming something else as time goes on, or as, you know, they're a little different sometimes in Brian Wilson Presents SMiLE. And so those things are kind of interchangeable or in flux like a dream. And you can find that, I think, in Frank Holmes's pictures also, where he reshuffles the images and, you know, just tries to get a satisfactory arrangement. But he has this total freedom, almost, you know, much like one would have in a dream. So you say, well, why would Brian present something equivalent to a dream in SMiLE? Well, what I think happened was Brian took that bookstore mystery that I talked about last video, and he, you know, dropped acid for the third time and revisited that mystery, and you know, what does it all mean, and look for answers. That's similar to what Watts did in The Joyous Cosmology. He took acid, then he observed stuff, and then it was after the stuff he observed that he got these revelations, if you will. And that's, you know, the way Kessler says about the dream. Kessler says the dream is the ultimate matchmaker, and that it makes the situation ripe for discovery. So what I would say, wrapping it up, is that SMiLE is essentially a dream. You could call it a puzzle. You get a puzzle with the Seeds album. That's a puzzle cutout. See that? Or in the Rolling Stones, Satanic Majesties, you have 4 elements on the outside, believe it or not, and you have a maze on the inside, or something to solve. And on SMiLE it's kind of like that too, except what's lying underneath this dream, if you put it all together, is a spiritual experience. So anyway, that's it. Sorry about making mistakes last video, and thanks again for your time. So long.